And you'll remember we got into this story. I told you that thousands of dollars was being spent at the Inland Revenue Department to put period products, tampons and the like, whatever they are, into the men's toilets at Inland Revenue. As part of their rainbow tick BS, men can be women, men can have babies, transgender up the woo-woo stuff. And Ben Espiner, Isabella's predecessor, spent months, weeks, trying to get some comment out of Inland Revenue. And we got the absolute runaround. It was a complete farce. But they went ahead. Well, now, and why did I raise that story then? Because that sort of madness and stupidity can have really serious consequences for people. And it's essentially cost a woman who worked at IRD for 14 years her job. Christine myself said something on the internet or intranet, on the intranet at work in response to news that the department would be providing period products in both male and female bathrooms. She posted, "This is awesome, but a shame it took so long coming, and interesting that now that men can menstruate, free period products are available in Inland Revenue bathrooms." And take that how you will. I think it's quite a clever comment. But guess who got upset? The faceless, nameless rainbow tick community at IR. They launched a witch hunt, clearly, against, and this is my interpretation of a report that's come out this morning of an Employment Relations Authority case. Christine's manager called her in for a meeting after those comments on the internet. As the comments were reported by IRD's Rainbow Network, little biatches, which said some people were offended and upset. I bet she was never told who was. Christine had to meet with this woman, Leah Galbraith, to discuss the comments and set expectations for the future. Apparently it was not the first discussion of this type she'd had with Massouf about her need to be aware of the impact her comments could have on her colleagues. Christine Massouf denied that and said the earlier incidents were different. But it went back and forth. She was given a letter on expectations of behaviour, and that is that you've got to live in the weird fantasy world of the rainbow tick people. And there was a course of restructuring, and she began reporting to a different team leader, but the meeting with Galbraith left her upset and anxious, as it would. I've been in one of those. Don't get upset. She said after he should to return from sick leave, she was vulnerable and had clearly been ostracised, and she resigned. Can I just say there's your big mistake when you're being done down like that, never resign. She raised a claim of unjustifiable constructive dismissal. You can see exactly what happened here. But she lost that after arguing, and I think that's very sad. And there we have, I think, in just a tiny little story, the consequences of the stupidity of the trans cult and the dangers of the rainbow tick grift, the mafia-like standover tactics of rainbow tick. So I'm hoping, and if you're listening, Christine, myself, could you give us a ring? I'd really like to have a chat with you. I knew this was before the courts and I was leaving it, or the ERA, and I was leaving it alone for that reason. But please get in contact with us on 0800 33 228 Have we reached out to the FSU on that? Izzy, if we could do that. Bella, sorry. So there we have it. Have you ever been warned? Have you ever had the rainbow tick people come for you at your work? Particularly if you work in the government department? Have the rainbow tickers been monitoring your speech? I think that's a really sad decision. And I think, I wasn't really worried about the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the IRD was spending putting period products in the men's toilets. It's what it says about the mindset of the organisation that it allows itself to do that, to be bullied into doing that crazy stuff. And basically, the IRD said, well, she resigned. You're never going to win a case for wrongful dismissal if you resigned. She worked for the IRD for 14 years. She was not able to explain when or how this policy was either implemented or changed by IR. For a claim of constructive dismissal to succeed, the dismissal must occur at the initiative of the employer. She resigned, and there you go. So she loses the case. But it's an interesting story, isn't it? What do you think of it?